Parish regular session, June 9th, 3:30 meeting to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Hopkins.
Dominic. Here. Johnson. Jackson. Lynn. Bowman. Present. Cawthorn. Present. Gage Watts. Middleton. Atkins. Here. Chavez. Smith. Epperson. Present. We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. We'll have the invocation by Commissioner Dominic with a brief prayer ahead of that by Commissioner Jackson, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Everyone please stand.
I'm not going to necessarily say a prayer, but I would ask if individuals, we just got word about an hour ago that a very prominent individual of our community, Dr. E. Edward Jones, passed away. And if you are familiar with the history of his body, he was one of the integrating members of the Caddo Parish Police Jury, serving as the representative for District 3. He also served as his daughter served as the lead plaintiff for the Caddo Parish School Board integration case. So when you think about all the conversation that just took place here, and we talk about history, we talk about where we've come from, Pastor E. Edward Jones, Dr. E. Edward Jones, a true giant in Caddo Parish, has been at the forefront. And that giant has laid down for rest, and I'm quite confident that we will see him again. So if you would indulge this body in just a brief moment of silence and recognition for Pastor Dr. E. Edward Jones. Thank you.
I'd like to pray at this time. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here today. Watch over, forgive us for our many sins. Be with us as we go through this through our meeting. I just ask you we'll conduct it in a cordial way, that you'll be with us as commissioners and be with our interests of our citizens. And once again, I do pray for Dr. Jones and his family for their loss at this time. Just ask and pray that your hand will be upon them. Thank you for all the wonderful things you've done. In your precious holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you would please face the flag and render the proper salute and repeat in unison. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any agenda additions? Commissioner Jackson?
Oh, no.
Okay. I see no agenda additions. We'll move on to citizens' comments. I do have 3 cards. I will say that there are 2 that are in support of Ordinance 5586. I'll let you know that I'm going to hold these until we get to Ordinance 5586. There is one person that is not with that. Stan Staten Stalick, if you're please approach the microphone and state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Stan Stava. I live in actually Bossier City. I work here and I was born here, but I did want to make a comment if I could today, and I'm somewhat nervous. I'm not very good at this on the meeting, and I apologize. I thought it was from 3:30 to 5. I just wanted to quickly say that, you know, I've read so many things online recently that they upset me. I hate to see the divisiveness that is going on among our own citizens over this issue right now. You can almost put 1860s on some of these comments, and you'd think it was something from the Civil War, and I hate that among our people, that we are all one citizens. Are there things there on this monument that are offensive? Absolutely. Just as Ford's Theater can be offensive, or the Dallas School Book Depository can be offensive when you think of what happened there. But I think it's a moment, I hope, for especially teachers or students to see that monument, and maybe we need to put a plaque over to the side that lets them know this is almost unofficially where the Civil War ended. I don't teach history, but I love history. I love to learn about things in history. And I found out that there's 40,000 troops that surrendered basically right here from the commander in Shreveport on May 26, 1865, long after the war officially ended. I want the students to learn that. I want them to realize these were people, and that we should make a pledge that the terrible things that happen in war, slavery that happened, should never happen again anywhere in the world. That we should learn that there were good people on the north and good people on the south and bad people on both sides. And that Abraham Lincoln and the values he was trying to teach should be passed on to the next generation. And the tragedies and the terrible things in war should never, ever be repeated again. Let us learn from this and let us move forward. Let us never have one nation fighting amongst its people ever again. We are so many lessons that can be learned, but they need to realize, the students today need to realize, these were real people with real lives. You watch the movie Glory and you realize these are real people that went through real tragedies on both sides. Let us learn from monuments, whether it's this one moved or whatever, and let us try to take the good lessons and move them forward and see the bad ones, and there were many, but let us not forget them. Let us make a pledge that we don't ever repeat them again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the end of public comments.
Next, we move to adopt the regular session minutes from May 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner, where's Mr. Hopkins, will you help me? I recognize that Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts is number one, but I don't have anybody up here. Oh, there you go. And I think that's moved by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watt, second by Commissioner Cawthorn. Everybody please vote. That passes. Next item, please.
Next, we move to communications committee reports.
I pressed the wrong thing.
Should be a yes.
Yes.
Take that.
I'm gonna try that next time.
Thank you. We'll move on to communiques and committee reports. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to say Happy Father's Day to all my colleagues since we won't be here on next week. You guys surprised me for Mother's Day, so I thought I would surprise you all today.
We can accept this from you. Here you go.
I was scared to eat the candy. I
We was wondering where this was
giving your
coming
cups away and all that good things.
What are we supposed to vote?
No, it's because you all were so sweet, and there is a mug for you to have your favorite drink in on your day. So I hope you all enjoy them.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Secondly, on Monday, I thank the commissioners Johnson, Epperson, Middleton, Cawthorn, and Jackson for their participation in the Stop the Violence rally. And I failed to recognize our president of the commission, Matthew Lynn, who sent a very heartfelt email in his support of the rally and the movement that has begun in Shreveport. And I wanted to publicly say to you, thank you also.
Thank you.
There were so many people who joined forces with Rodney Giles, along with the community partnership of the Winfield Funeral Holdings president, the staff, the entire community came together to say that enough was enough, and that we started this movement, and it will continue. We are planning future events as we speak. Prayer rally is in working, noted for the 16th of this month of June. Commissioner Johnson was also able to establish a dialogue called a workable plan, and I think each of you received an email about it. If you didn't, it is available for you. We are planning, because if we fail to plan, then we plan to fail, and we're looking forward to greater for our city, our parish, and our state. Lastly, on Monday, I mentioned that we were finalizing plans for our Pathway to Prosperity Second Chance Initiative Expungement Summit of 2016. It will be held at Riverview Hall on Friday, July 15th. The first session at 9 a.m. and the second session at 12 p.m. We're excited about it, and we hope to see you all there. That is all my requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Epperson.
Just want to commend the legal staff. Did you find that active donation in the plat that I was asking you about?
No, sir. Had not.
Okay, well, I did.
Okay.
But guess what? Business was handled the way it should have been. The way it should have been, an active donation, a plat dedicating the 81.1 acres of land to the Louisiana State Department of Veterans Affairs for the Veterans Cemetery. all legal and sold up the way that it should be. That's the way business should be handled. And since my time was cut short, I just didn't want, I don't like for nobody to get no misinformation out on me about being racist or prejudiced. I don't know how many of you know it, but my daughter-in-law is Caucasian, 29 years to my oldest son, 2 children, Kenneth III and Lakeisha, 2 great-grands through that marriage. Also, my son-in-law is Caucasian, 18 years to my oldest daughter from Atlanta, Georgia. So I don't want nobody, no way to come out saying no lies that I'm racist, because they'd run me out the family. So I just want to let you know that. Father of 5, 8 grands, and 8 greats. Love them all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Cawthorn.
Commissioner Everson, now you didn't find out about those mixed marriages the day of the wedding, did you? You didn't find out the day of the wedding, did you? I'm just kidding.
I got to get y'all some history. You know where they had to go to get married? They had to go to Marshall, Texas. Wouldn't nobody marry them here.
Wow.
Okay.
And then we got to Marshall, Texas. They had to find somebody black to marry. Okay?
I digress.
Anytime you want to know some history.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I got 2 announcements in my district. We've got we got this basketball game that started as urban legend, and it's been going on for a number of years. For those who are familiar with the Cedar Grove section of town, there's an east and west side of Cedar Grove, and known to be crossed by the other. But June the 19th at A.B. Palmer Park, which is the old 79 Park, they're going to have the annual East-West game. So that's June 19th, which is Father's Day, at 4 p.m. So I'll be out there, and if any of you guys, that's Father's Day, so if any other people want to come out and be a part of that, please do so. We got any representatives here from the deal? Okay.
What side you on?
I'm rooting for both sides. Both sides against the middle. Secondly, the DA has his first, district attorney has his camp, which is going to be this Saturday at Lee Hedges from 8 to 12. I'm one of the sponsors of it. I think it's going to be a good event. He got some pro guys coming out. My son, as a matter of fact, is going to participate. So you guys get a chance to come out Saturday. You got a kid. It's free and open to the public. If your kid is between the ages of, I want to say 6 and 17, you can bring them out. They just need to register. And lastly, I just want to echo what Steve said about Dr. E. Edward Jones. In the Book of Solomon, they talk about the king alerts the people that a giant has fallen, and we definitely have a fallen giant in Dr. E. Edward Jones. I grew up in Galilee when it was on Snow Street, and it moved to P Avenue, and I saw that ministry grow from what it is to the campus that it sits on now, and just the national impact that he had, not only in the city, in the state, but in this nation. For years, he was one of the 100 most influential African Americans that will be featured in Evidence magazine for a number of years. And him being the president of the National Baptist Convention, and you name it, the accolades go on and on and on. And he's also the guy that baptized me.
Come on.
So we want to send our prayers out and condolences out to the Jones family, who has been a bedrock and a cornerstone of the Shreveport community for a number of years. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Cawthorn. Commissioner Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too just briefly want to echo the sentiments of the E. Edward Jones family, Dr. E. Edward Jones family. Again, like you said, a visionary. I would call him a Moses of our time, someone who actually was not only part of civil rights, but also someone who was inclusive of others as well, and progressive. And even you can look at the church itself, how it constructed a community in which they can have a safe haven, but have a nice place to live and still be a part of a community in which, that defies stereotypes and things of that nature. And he's my fraternity brother. He actually helped inspire me to become a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And there's very few people that you can watch and they say things, but he's one that actually walked the walk and talked the talk, and it's evident even in his family. So just grateful for that. Also, I wanted to touch on something personal. I want to thank everyone who's been praying not only for my father and his illness, but I just want to also take this moment to give special thanks to certain people as well. First, I want to thank my uncle and aunt who've been very instrumental and also helping, and I want to let them know that I appreciate them. I love them, and I love my father, and if I've ever done anything, I ask that of any ill will that you would find in your hearts to forgive me. And I've asked the Lord to even search me to make me even better during the process. I also want to thank Dr. Wilson, Ms. Bell, who came not only to the hospital but also has prayed with me. And very few people knew of my own little illness dealing with my stomach, but I want to thank Jackson, Vice President Jackson, and also Stormy Gage Watts. Always, everyone knows that's my sister. So, but to Commissioner Matthew Lynn, I just want to tell you that you are truly a friend as well. You and Jackson, because the people who I least suspected were the ones who came through when I needed them the most, and who you and Ms. Bell, y'all prayed for me. Y'all prayed for not only the family. And the great thing about that is we can get up here around this horseshoe and agree to disagree, or just to disagree. But true friendship is when afterwards, no matter what the vote or decision is, that respect is still there, and that person can still be considered my friends. And so that's what I consider you all. And I just thank, I don't know if Ms. Bell is here. She's gone. Well, yeah, but I just thank all of you all for that, and just ask for continuous prayer for a great productive year, not only for my father, but for our family as a whole. And I just thank everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. My first question, I would like to ask Commissioner Lynn, how do you register for the DA's youth football camp?
Call you after this meeting. I'll call you.
Okay.
If you get there and they got a problem, just tell them I sent you.
Okay. So do they need to register before the event?
I think they do, but I'll get that info for you.
Thank you.
Right.
And if you would, we could get it publicized so that the public will know what they can do to participate in that event.
Okay. It's on the radio, but we can do that.
Okay. Thank you. And I will also be amiss not to mention the silent grandfather, Dr. E. Edward Jones, was the tree whom my late pastor, Reverend M.L. Hunt, was under. And he was absolutely a great man to the community, to the entire city of Shreveport, to the region. I can remember being a little girl, and when you would say that Reverend E. Edward Jones was preaching somewhere, you could hardly find a place to park, let alone be able to stand on the inside. So this community has suffered yet another great loss, but he has served his purpose, and we accept that God has spoken. We will be in prayer for the family of the Jones family and his church family as well, because I do know there is no hurt like losing a pastor's hurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Commissioner Epperson.
Well, Gerald, you don't return my calls, but I'll be asking about you. I ask somebody else. I figure you must think I want to borrow some money. But I did go by and went by Obadiah's house and went by your mom's house. And I left my business cards in the door,
Yes,
and I still didn't get no call.
Okay.
But I didn't want to borrow no money. I just wanted to see how you was doing.
So is this a truce?
$100.
Okay.
Want to wrinkle $100?
I'd also like to acknowledge.
No, he thought you were coming to collect. He didn't
No, I didn't.
Just one at a time, please.
I saw the curtain move when I
One at a time.
Okay. But anyway, I'd also like to acknowledge Helen Chavez. I don't think any relations to Mario, Cesar Chavez's wife. I don't know any of you that not familiar with the labor movement, which I've always been adamant member of the labor movement. She passed on June the 6th. That was Cesar Chavez's wife. They worked together unionizing the Mexican workers from being exploited by the farmers in the fruit and vegetable industries out in California. And they basically pitted them against the blacks and all. A little history about that. Blacks used to leave Louisiana, Texas, and Arkansas and go to California to pick fruits and vegetables and make more money and come back home during the summer months to get us through the winter. So We want to acknowledge that. And also, let us not forget another giant, Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
Yeah, I wish a lot of you youngsters may have really got to know him. A man of strong convictions. Irrespective to his social or economic, he was going to stand by his convictions. And once you do that, you're going to always come out on the top in the end, and you don't sell out. Thank you.
Commissioner Cawthorn. You're up there again. Okay.
No, I didn't.
Again? No. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I just wanted to thank administration. One, went back by the house that we were dealing with over there back off of behind the lab. I got an opportunity to finally get over there and visit with that resident, and he really appreciates it. Just kind of let's just keep our eyes on it, but appreciate the response. That's what we talked about when we say, you know, let's figure out a way to get it done, and you guys did that, and he appreciates you for it, and I appreciate it. And I wanted to let him know that I would let you guys know. The other thing is, I really appreciate the budget presentation on yesterday. A lot of information, probably some more follow-up to be done. I think, you know, as a new commissioner, I think, you know, it's best to get your own understanding. I believe that's even biblical. There are a lot of folks out in the community that will talk and tell you and feed information into individuals. And what we did yesterday was we sat down and we went over some information, and there may be more questions folks have, but you guys put on a great budget presentation. I think some information was revealed to all of the individuals in the room to get us a better understanding, and that process will go forward. For those, as I always say, out in TV land, for those who say there's not anything to do in Shreveport or Caddo, there are several concert series going on this weekend, so get out, get involved in those things, not advocating for it, but do what you do. Farmers Market is now open, is now in season. So if you love fresh squash and berries and things like that, get out and take part of it. It's a very mixed crowd down there, and so, you know, just want to get rid of this idea that we don't have enough to do in Caddo. There's something for everyone to do. If you're free next Thursday, Commissioner Chavez and I will be involved in the Young Professionals Initiative about getting involved with politics. And so it's myself, Commissioner Chavez, Councilman Everson, and Skaggs across the street. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I don't have that date. I don't have that location. I think it's at Origins Bank right here on Marshall Street. That's exactly what it's at. Origins Bank on Marshall Street. So if you're bored doing lunch next Thursday and would like to engage with some young professionals in Shreveport, feel free to drop in and listen in to myself and Commissioner Chavez, Councilman Everson, and Mr. Skaggs from across the river. Economic Development Committee meeting, just want to remind you guys, if you have anything to get to me, tentatively we have the 17th. Like some conflicts may be arising in my schedule, but I may come and just leave. I don't know how we work that out, but we'll work it out. I'm not going to hold the process up but the 17th, I believe we say at 1 o'clock, 1:30?
June 17th?
1:30, June 17th, next Friday, 1:30. And the 23rd, which is our usual second meeting of the month meeting. So just wanted to put that out. If you have anything that you want on the agenda, please get those things to me in an orderly manner, and we can get with the clerk to have it put forward. Appreciate you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is there any particular reason why you've got a meeting on Friday at 1:30?
Well, we have a consultant who wants to come in and do a workshop.
I'll cancel my golf game.
Right. There's a consultant who wants to do a workshop, and is it open to the workshop?
It would be open to the public as a public meeting, but what it is, I think you had spoken with David Wolf about doing a presentation on TIFs and some other type of business models, and he's going to be up for an IDB meeting that day.
So if any other commissioners want to, that's another opportunity to, so that, because what I find in this process is when individuals don't understand what's going on, they tend to just rebel against it, or they tend to just be against it. But if you come and kind of synthesize these things, when these ideas come out, you won't think that somebody's trying to get one over on you. And so, you know, and this is another example of if you have to go off, this would probably be $1,000, $800 workshop to get this information. So he's coming up for free to talk to us about these kind of projects and things that we're doing. It's my understanding pro bono, I guess.
Yes.
So in a sense, it's pro bono. So if commissioners are free, feel free to drop in on June 17th.
Can we talk? Never. You just.
That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Middleton.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'd also like to say my appreciation to Ms. Bryant for the presentation she put together yesterday. It was very informative. I wish we could have spent more time. Unfortunately, I had a doctor's appointment at 2 o'clock. I was able to make that. Randy, thank you for bringing my briefcase. And second of all, I'd like to congratulate Mario on the way you did the meeting earlier today. I think you did a great job. Kept everything right, and I think this went really good for the folks who were here. And I appreciate what you did. You've done a great job all the time, but really come out in there and shine, baby.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Commissioner Johnson.
Hey, thank you. Just wanted to add some of the things that will be going on the month of June. During the week of June 17th through the 19th, it will be the Let the Good Times Roll Festival that will be going on. This is in its 30th year. Southern University is also having a gentleman's cooking classic, and I'm going to be one of the VIP chefs in that particular deal. So that's on June the 18th. I'm still deciding on what I'm going to cook.
That's what I was going to ask.
It will be good, whatever it is.
Save some of it for us.
Any gentlemen and ladies cooking classic now?
I just saw gentlemen.
I think we took y'all. Y'all swept us.
Yes, we did. And we still in it this year.
That's at
My proposal is
Convention Center. I had to see you the time. Off the top of my head. Yes, sir.
And could you tell them the good cause? That is
The cause is Southern University Foundation, which is for scholarships, trying to send more men and women to college. So it's for a good cause, and I try to do it every time I get the opportunity to do it. But you have the opportunity to take advantage of both that plus the Let the Good Times Roll Festival that weekend. Thank you.
Just a point of order, piggyback. My son won first place last year in the junior chef.
Check you out.
Just sending a challenge out, you know.
I'll let you two.
That looks like everybody on communique.
Next, we move to President's report.
I gave a report on Monday. However, I would like, if you could send to all the commissioners a flyer on the Expungement Summit, Friday, July the 15th. There's several agencies within town, or if y'all have a bulk email list where you could send it to Northwest Louisiana Behavioral Health and various other state agencies associated with DHH. I would greatly appreciate it, and if you send it to me, then I will send it to several other agencies as well. Those I think are key governmental entities that need to hear about this. That's the end of my president's report.
Next, we move to public hearing ordinances. Ordinance number 5585, amending the budget investment revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $10,000, providing appropriation for the Cedar Grove CDC.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of ordinance 5585 of 2016? Is there anybody here to speak in opposition to ordinance 5585 of 2016? That is everybody. Next.
Ordinance number 5586, amending the budget investment revenues and expenditures for the Oil and Gas Fund, Capital Outlay Fund, and Economic Development Fund to appropriate $100,000 for a summer joint summer youth employment program and crime reduction prevention activities.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of ordinance 5586 of 2016? I know I have two cards. Ms. McDonald.
Good evening. My name is Mashawna McDonald, address 5336 Broadway. I am delighted and honored to come before you as an educator of Caddo. I teach 5th grade, and so I had the opportunity before the students got out this summer to engage them in a writing prompt, and where they were engaged to write about what they would be doing for the summer. Numerous students wrote about, unfortunately, that they would be at home with their parents or just outside and not engage in any activities outside of the school system. I come before you today asking for your support in voting for this positive program for youth within the community. I'm very involved with the youth in my community. I volunteer and I do various projects on a church level and also within my community in which I live in, the Moretown area. I have the opportunity to go to the Moretown Rec, and in driving by around 7:30 or 8, there was over 50 young men out on a basketball court, and they were playing a game, and I thought, how awesome would it be if they had additional programs that they could take part in outside of just being on the basketball court. Oftentimes, they don't have anything to do, so they revert to doing things that may not be in the best interest of them or may be appropriate. But I think if we had more programs within the community that supported nonviolence, programs that supported conflict resolution, programs that supported education and things we do within the classroom. Some other states have the privilege of going to school all year. Our students don't. Their school year stops within the summer, and they're left with nothing to do but to be at home. But I hope that you would consider and even just think about, as it was your own child, a lot of their parents don't have the funding and finances to send them to do additional programs. So if they are offered different things, they would be able to use their time wisely instead of out in the neighborhoods. And I know that from working with the students and speaking with them and engaging them in conversation, they desire to do more. More in the community, more programs outside of just the classroom setting, but in the community with the rec centers and the possibility of mentorship programs. I had the pleasure of speaking to Governor Edwards about the mentoring programs, and mentoring programs that not are just based on a volunteer basis, but mentoring programs that are funded, that they have the desire to take a group of individual, diverse children to a trip outside of Shreveport, or to take these individuals and do a summer session with them, or a writing session or a reading session. So I ask for your support. I come before you as an advocate, a mother, and a family of a village, hoping that you will support these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rodney Giles.
How's everybody doing today? Rodney Giles, 4006 Evers Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, District 7. I come before you today also in support of this ordinance being passed. I'm one of the people that spearheaded the Stop the Violence rally that we had over at Winfield Funeral Home, and actually knew a couple of these guys that have recently got killed. Some of them I knew indirectly because my son is in the same age bracket, so he knows these kids. And one of the gentlemen I actually knew. We started this movement and this Stop the Violence movement to of course stop the violence, but of course we want to get everybody involved because everybody got a role to play in this and have accountability in getting this movement done. In the midst of us doing this, I went to different communities. I walked Cherokee Park. I went to Cooper Road. Of course, Moretown, because I'm from Moretown, City Grove, and I'm talking to these kids that are out here, and I'm talking to these young men that are out here that are involved in negative activities. And when you're talking to them and you're asking them, man, you can do something better with your life. You can get a job. You can do this. They saying, Rodney, there's no jobs out there. There's nothing out there for me. There's no programs available. And a lot of times there are things out there that are available, but a lot of times the communication is not well where we can get the information to them. So that I think that we need to get this ordinance approved. We need more events, activities, different programs like this going on to enhance our community, so that we can make Shreveport and Caddo Parish a better parish and city.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak in favor of Ordinance 5586 of 2016? Please state your name and address.
My name's Felicia Scroggins, address 9314 Sandalwood Drive. I'm hoping that y'all would approve it because it will help get a lot of the kids off the street, get the guns that's illegal off the streets. And for as the working program, I think that's a big incentive because a lot of the young kids get introduced to fast money. If they learn how to make their own money, they'll never know fast money is, it sounds good. And when you make fast money, it's hard to go get a job and make minimum wage. But if they start out making minimum wage, they'll learn how to earn a living that way and continue to move forward like that. And another thing, to get them off the street, they'll have something to do along with having money to do something after the work hours are over with. So I would love for y'all to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no one else. Is there anybody here to speak in opposition of ordinance 5586 of 2016? I see no one. Next item, please.
Next, we move to ordinance number 5588. Authorize the parish administrator to execute a new cooperative endeavor agreement with Ward 2 Industrial Development Corporation.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of ordinance 5588 of 2016? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of ordinance 5588 of 2016? Next item, please.
Next, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5585 of 2016, amend the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for Riverboat Fund in the amount of $10,000 to provide an appropriation for Cedar Grove CDC.
Move to adopt. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Cawthorn to adopt. Commissioner Jackson, do you want to speak on that?
No.
Nope. Okay.
I'll wait.
Oh, excuse me. Commissioner Cawthorn, did you want to speak on it?
No.
Your second. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, President Lynn. This is not intended as a personal affront to any fellow commissioner. However, I feel that this ordinance is improperly structured and that it's coming straight from the floor, and it affects NGO budgets. I felt that first of all, I felt it should have gone to the NGO committee for evaluation and review. And secondly, as I understand it, there remain some issues with the paperwork associated with the particular organization being targeted here for receiving the contribution. I think Ms. Erica Bryant can fill us in a little bit on the specifics of the paperwork with the CDC.
Commissioners, the CDC, based on our records, we have a small outstanding balance on one of the programs, about $307. We received the reports on that. We just have a small balance on that. And then additionally, we have another program, the Summer Learning Program. We have not received the final report for 2014 on that program. Because we were missing reports, the CDC did not receive funding for 2015.
Thank you. So, for these reasons, we've been trying to impose, I'll remind you all, I believe we've been trying to impose some increased discipline on our NGO funding to ensure that everybody receives a fair shake, everybody's evaluated similarly with respect to receiving funding for NGO projects. And for that reason, I'd like to encourage commissioners to not support this current ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson.
Ms. Bryant or Attorney Frazier, if an organization is not in compliance, do they get the funding, or are we prohibited from approving funding for them?
No, as a matter of fact, the CDC had funding approved for 2015, but didn't get it because of those outstanding reports.
And so once they get you that information, which is just some paperwork, those two documents, then they can move forward with. But until they get you those, the dollars go nowhere, right?
Right.
Right, okay. So there are safeguards in place, and the organization is undergoing transition. It needs to transition. Individuals have to have an opportunity to get in and transition so that we don't end up with situations that this body just got finished dealing with. They need to transition. And so when that report is turned in, they'll get an opportunity to turn that information in. my issue with saying that it should go to the committee is that we've had 3 weeks now that this has been on the agenda, or that this has been public knowledge, and the chairman of the committee has yet to reach out to me as the author to say, hey, I'll set a committee meeting. And so that has not happened yet. And so to just sit back and say, well, we should kill this opportunity, which is nothing but the funds were already allocated, just as we did on Monday with KTBS. The funds have already been allocated. An organization is saying, we're not going to use our funds for the summer program or learning program that we were going to do. All we're doing is directing the money in a different direction. We're not taking anything from anybody. We're not giving anything. We're not giving anything to anybody that they're not owed. They applied for funding in 2015. They actually did not submit a request. Am I correct, Ms. Bryant? They didn't submit a request to draw funding down for 2015.
For 16, no.
For 16. No, for 15. They didn't submit a request to draw their funding down for 15.
No, sir.
So that's why they didn't get their funding for 2015. So all you're really doing is reimbursing them for dollars that they were already approved for in 2015. So want to make sure that we're clear about that. And so I'm not understanding why this here is such an issue. Again, they were approved in 2015. All you're doing is reallocating or redirecting it. We do that all the time on this body. In my hand right here, I have a letter where Southern University of Shreveport didn't draw down all of their funds. They're asking us to reappropriate the amount. That's all this is. It's not some scam or some sneak attack on somebody. And I wish that, again, if there was an effort to get this done, that there'd be more of a proactive effort to get it done. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, sir. I just had, I guess maybe a point of information or clarification. This group, the Cedar Grove, that's the one we talked about, and from the 5 phase that came from my district for the same amount.
Correct.
So it should be, if everything's in place, then that money should not be missing.
Right.
It should just be even.
It's already there. It's already been budgeted.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Is that everything, Commissioner Bowman?
Oh, that's it. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Atkins.
I'd like to make an alternative motion that this ordinance come to the NGO committee until the paperwork can get approved, and then once it's evaluated by the committee, then we can vote to approve it. But I've spoken on this matter since the day it was first came on the agenda.
I can second that.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Atkins to send this to committee, second by Commissioner Chavez. Commissioner Atkins, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, thank you. I've expressed my concern on this from the beginning. It's a two-way dialogue. I would have been happy to have worked that out ahead of time. So I'm not trying to hold back and do any sneak attacks. I've been very open and honest about my concerns with this ordinance. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez, would you like to speak on your second?
Easy. Once they get the paperwork done, we can give them the funds. Seems clear. That's it.
Commissioner Jackson.
I'd like to amend his amendment to.
I don't think you can amend amendment.
Can't do that, Todd.
We just amended the amendment a couple of weeks ago. You can't amend the amendment. An amendment is amendable.
This is an amended motion.
You can amend it.
Well, his was a substitute motion, wasn't it?
His was amended motion, substitute motion. Either way is fine.
It's anonymous.
If it's a friendly amendment, then it can be accepted. Like if it doesn't change the entire thing. But if it's going to change the entire thing, then no.
So it has to be incongruent.
But an amendment can be amended.
What's the amendment?
Let's just go
amendment
back.
is to send it to.
Just a motion.
Okay. We'll take the attorney, but I can get us a video from the last meeting where my amendment was amended by Commissioner Johnson.
Which one was it?
It was about Caddo Common Park.
Amendment?
And I made an amendment.
Yeah, that was
He
a
made
big
an amendment
debate.
to my
Hey,
amendment.
rules change every week, so I don't know.
When I said it, y'all said I was out of order, so I just speak quiet.
But I made an amendment. I made an amendment to offer the 1.2 or something, and he made an amendment to my amendment to offer it at 700,000.
And we researched it then.
And it was said that an amendment can be made to an amendment.
We still have to go with it.
Let's amend the amendment. Go ahead.
And
But
so-
you said it can only be done no more than twice.
Right, it can't be, right, so my amendment can't be amended.
Okay, okay.
So
This is
I was,
considered the second.
my motion is to approve this contingent, they get their paperwork done. Why, why hold the process up now? So my amendment is to amend it and contingent upon them getting the paperwork done.
It's not,
Is there a second?
that's quite different.
Second.
Okay, so there's been a motion made, and it's not a friendly amendment, and so a motion made by Commissioner Jackson and second by Commissioner Johnson
For discussion, yeah.
for discussion, that this be amended, that should it be approved and the paperwork is completed, then it be accepted as a whole. Did you want to speak on your motion, Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, my thing is, what changes it from when it goes to committee? They either gonna turn those two documents in, or they're not. It's not gonna change anything. What other vetting needs to be done?
Commissioner Johnson, have you finished part of
Yes.
your? Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak on your second?
One is, isn't this a time-sensitive issue?
Yes.
Because it's a summer program, and basically we're already in the summer, so time is of essence. And they shouldn't be waiting on us to try to do something. We should be waiting on them to get it done. Now, Donna and Erica, make sure I'm saying this right. If there's an organization that hasn't done their paperwork that they should do, even if we approve them getting the money, they still cannot get the money until they satisfy all the policies that we have in place for them to get it.
Correct.
All right, so the motion that he just made really doesn't make any sense.
It's
And
not necessary.
so basically, I just want to make sure that everybody that's new
Understands
understands that. We can approve it, but until they meet the qualifications to get the money, they can't get it anyway. All right, second piece. Second piece is, if we send it to a committee, and say the committee decides that they don't want to do it, the commissioner and any commissioner has a right to bring it up on the floor. And then we still have to vote on it as it is right now. So I would think that since the 3 weeks has passed, that it hasn't been to committee, then why send it to committee now and then have to bring it back up in 2 weeks from now to be able to do? And the organization is trying to get this done, and it's part of this summertime initiative that we've been talking about, trying to do things to make sure the kids have things to do and things are in place. So why not go ahead and support it and let legal and finance do their job, and if they don't qualify, they don't get the money. We already got some organizations that right now that's on the list that can't get a new application because they hadn't finished what they were supposed to do for last year. And so if they hadn't got finished getting their money from last year, they can't get no more. So, let them do their job and let us try to do our job of saying at least these things are approved, and then they won't be waiting on us. We'll be waiting on them to qualify and do things the right way.
Good.
I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Somebody needs to
Well,
pull the amendment.
He has not spoke on this motion, not once, but he has spoken on the others, but we're dealing with this motion, and so it's Commissioner Atkins' turn.
we've been waiting on documentation for a year plus, and now all of a sudden it's it's our fault for not moving fast enough. If it comes to committee, I'd be happy to speed it along as soon as we get the paperwork ready. I'd call a meeting as soon as physically possible. I'm just trying to respect the process of running things through the NGO committee to ensure that everything is judged fairly and equitably, and everybody's held to the same standard. Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson.
Call for the question?
Second. Which question are we calling?
All of them, everything.
All of
them. Amendment. Call for the question. Ends debate.
No, this is the question on the Commissioner Jackson's
Yes.
amendment.
All
of
them.
How did contingent they get there?
Not the first question, but his second question.
Okay, that's good.
And then come on.
you repeat the last part?
Mr. Bowman?
Harold, vote next. I need to recall him for the question now, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Bowman?
Question has been called. Please vote on the issue at hand.
Which one?
The issue is Commissioner Johnson's, Commissioner Jackson's last motion, second by Commissioner Johnson. Which approving the funding contingent on legal and accounting. Compliant.
You approving the contingent that they get that paperwork.
It's so different from the first one.
All right.
Chavez?
Which is,
Chavez?
that passes. Next item.
Nope, now we have to approve as amended, is that correct?
Thank you very much for remembering that. Yes, now we need to vote approved as amended. Please vote.
Or just cover that.
Yeah,
the original deal.
I've been in your position.
Showtime.
Next item, please.
A bowl of cereal.
Approved twice.
Okay, and ordinance number 5586, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures, oil and gas, capital outlay, and economic development fund, appropriate $100,000 for joint summer youth employment program and crime reduction prevention activities.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Chavez. Would you like to speak on this?
I wait.
Commissioner Chavez, would you like to speak on
We had
your
them speak on it, I
second?
appreciate that.
Oh, pardon. Who made the second?
I did.
Okay, did you want to speak on that?
We had
Okay.
enough people speak
All
on
right, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment to this particular ordinance. I'd like to amend the transfer of $100,000 from the general fund to economic development fund for the summertime, safe summer initiative and pilot program.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, and that is to maintain the same funding, but to pull the money from
General fund
general
to
fund.
economic development fund. And then
What, I mean, again, from what?
from the general fund
Mhm.
to the economic development fund, same $100,000.
Okay.
Push it with it.
It's just the source. Got it.
Right. And then basically calling it the Safe Summer Initiative Pilot Program. Yes.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Johnson, did you want to say anything more on your motion?
I think somebody got some questions.
Excuse me, Ms. Bryant does.
I just
see
have a
that.
point of clarification. I think it's your intent to take the money from the general fund and transfer it to the economic development fund for these programs. However, your current ordinance still has in there to take the appropriation for the law enforcement equipment, reduce it, so you would have to take that out of that ordinance also, else that still gets canceled. Even though you're
Yes.
transferring the money from the
That's
general
what I was
fund.
saying.
If you leave that
And
section. for the
cancel that 100,000 from the law
The
enforcement.
capital outlay fund, you
Yes,
just want to
right.
take that part out.
Yes, I say that though.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, do you agree to still second that?
Ditto. I
Thank
do.
you. Okay.
Now, can I talk on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, basically, the change from that, on the initial ordinance, it had some projects done by the Caddo Sheriff Department and some other people. Under the new program, a lot of the programs will be ran through our Caddo Parks and Recreation. And that Parks and Recreation will then sub out some of these activities to some other organizations to get the things done. We also have a couple of pilot programs we want to try to do, and those will be ran through other Caddo Parish agencies. So everything will be Caddo Parish done.
Anything else, sir?
That's it for now until, some of
Commissioner
these.
Stormy Gage Watts, would you like to speak on your second?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Dominic.
So initially, if I'm correct, the way the funding was going to work, we're going to take $100,000 from the law enforcement equipment fund. And of course, I talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff said he's already spent it. So now we've changed that, so the sheriff, we won't be taking any money from him.
Right.
Correct, Erica?
Correct.
Correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
You will be taking money from the general fund, transferring it to the economic development fund.
So we're taking money from general fund again, and I just, problem, it seems like we're just always taking money. I do know when I spoke to the sheriff, he was against it, but obviously he was because of he didn't want to take from the law enforcement. So obviously it's better than it was, but just don't know if I'm gonna be able to support the way it is. So.
Is there anything else, Commissioner Dominic? Commissioner Dominic? Is there anything else?
That's it.
Commissioner Epperson?
Will we be providing more summer jobs for students? From
Yes.
this?
That's included in it.
Right, okay, well, what I'm after is, we sent one worker over to the Veteran Service Office, direly needed, and if we could get another one over at Veteran Service Office, and we need a worker at the Veteran Cemetery. Carol is just overwhelmed out there. That'll help her out tremendously.
Yes.
They're working on a budget from the state to try to get some people hired. That's all I want to know.
Veteran Service Office.
I think Commissioner Bowman.
That was it, yes. I just wanted the clarification that we were moving, that wasn't affecting the sheriff's money, but we did move it to where it is now. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Atkins.
I know that there's a need in the community for some support in this area, and I want to be supportive of many of these programs. However, as with Commissioner Dominic, I'm worried about the price tag, and I worry about the effectiveness of some of the issues being considered here. I'm supportive of midnight basketball. I'm supportive of Safe Summer Concert Series. I'm supportive of overtime for public safety patrol. I feel like we already have a summer youth employment program, and I'm not sure. I mean, I think we've got some excess capacity in that to service Commissioner Epperson's needs and some other things. So I don't know that we need more summer employment. The gun buyback program, that should be a law enforcement issue. So, you know, I could be supportive of an amendment that looked like this at the $50,000 level, supporting midnight basketball, safe summer concerts, and overtime for public safety. So just food for thought.
Is there anything else, sir? Is that
That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear that all of the programs, and I think Commissioner Johnson alluded to earlier, was that one, we are working through Parks and Recreation. The other, we're reaching out to the District Attorney's Office. So there is a entity that is responsible for all of this. So the gun buyback program would be administered through, and we want to encourage partnership. However, we don't want, well, the idea, and I've looked at models throughout the country, is that when these gun buyback programs are most successful, they're done with a law enforcement agency administering it, but there's another public face for it, because the reality, Commissioner Atkins, is that these guys and girls who have these weapons out there, there's a stigma in the community where there's a distrust, and we're trying to break those barriers. And we have clergy, we have faith-based groups, civic groups that are stepping up to say, well, we'll do it. But this will be administered by the District Attorney's Office or the Sheriff's Office. We want to work with our law enforcement agencies to make sure that the process is done right, and not somebody just getting a free check to do whatever. And so, you know, that's why we have to be creative about a lot of these issues that go on. And when we talk about violence, I remember being at the Winfield event, and the young man who spoke, who was a former gang member, I believe he said he had just been out of prison, a hard time, not just over at CCC. He had been out of prison for about 2 or 3 years, but it was something about the folks in that room that connected to him that the average politician cannot connect with folks out on the street. The police chief, as great a job as he does, cannot connect with those folks. And so, you know, administering this program through a law enforcement agency is what we're proposing to do. We like a law enforcement agency to vet a nonprofit and let them solicit a nonprofit to go out and be the face for the program, because, you know, if the program is going to be successful, we have to put it in a posture to where it is successful out in the community. And the amount that we're doing is just a pilot amount. I think this amount is too small to be really effective, but What we're trying to do is just put some very immediate steps in place to respond to the situation at hand. It's a very gut-wrenching feeling when I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and one of my residents have called me to say 8 people were shot in my district. 2 people passed away. And so I'm open to working with individuals about the programmatic part of it. What we're doing here today is just setting these funds aside. I do want to clear up something is I never intended for this to look like we were taking money from the sheriff. It was kind of a fast turnaround to find out that he had spent the money already, but I assume he may have already did some things and probably was going to reimburse his accounts for it. So I want to make sure, and I want to be clear that individuals know that this was not an attempt to take anything from the sheriff. But I do recall where the sheriff, the DA, and all these folks this time last year were out campaigning, saying that they were, pro-community. They would not stand for these things. So I think once the sheriff realizes we're not taking money from him, I don't see why he wouldn't get behind it. So I appreciate everybody for that, and hope we can get favorable passage to allocate these funds. Thank you.
Administrator Wilson.
Sarah Corey answered the question about the transfer of the money.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I echo some of the same sentiments with Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Jackson on this initiative. It is something that is greatly needed throughout the parish, throughout each district that we all have been faced with. And I think that we've had many discussions about what is needed, and the people are looking at us now for demonstration. This is not something that is set in stone, but it is a start. And this is not just one event, it's many events. I think it's very important for us to just think before we act and make the wrong decision on our voting about this, because this is something that could affect each one of us in a very positive way. It's saying that not only are we aware that you have problems in your districts, but that we do care and that we're taking a step to move in the right direction and trying to do something besides talk about it. So I'm asking for your support in this ordinance so that we can move forward. The violence has been very low. I've been afraid to even say anything about it. But I believe that it has given people hope because people have came up to acknowledge that they care about what's going on. So they're waiting now to see what we're going to do from here. So I'm asking for your support in this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. How many more student workers would this bring in?
About 12.
So 12 more student workers.
Yes.
Okay. And we have placement for those because in conversation, we seem to be kind of getting saturated.
Yeah, we will have to work with other agencies to try to place them.
Fantastic. Is there a gauge for success? And so when I hear with $100,000, we don't know if this will be enough money to be successful. I wonder, well, could we be successful with $150,000, or is there a gauge that will say? I mean, what is our gauge? Who has a quality control aspect of this so that we know? Well, we didn't take $100,000 and burn it, but if we had spent $110,000, we would have been hugely successful. Who can answer that? Is there anybody? And I'm in favor of this. I just want to know if there's any control measures in place. Commissioner Jackson?
That's a great question because I'm all for metrics and data. I think one, you see a reduction in crime. You see individuals, let me know if I'm answering your question. You see a reduction in crime. You see individuals coming forward with the gun buyback program. Some commissioners said, well, the gun buyback program wouldn't work, but when I met with state troopers, some of the deputy sheriffs, some of the police officers, they say, no, don't have that mindset. One gun off the street is a life saved. And if you recall 2 weeks ago, two teenagers were shot in Highland. And my I know we share Highland, but my section of Highland.
The Broadmoor side of Highland.
Yeah, the Broadmoor, or water side of Valencia side of Highland. But 2 teenagers were shot trying to sell a gun, accidentally shot because they were in a shed trying to sell a gun. Those are guns that we need off the street because that could have been 2 lives lost right there. And so, you know, getting those guns off the street, that's how I think we will measure the metrics for these programs. As far as summer jobs, there's so much data out there that says, as the constituent said earlier, when individuals are not making fast money, if you don't know what fast money is, in the Urban Dictionary, that's out on the corner making money. When they're not making fast money, because that's what they turn to when they can't get an honest job. And so when you see individuals, that reduction that we talked about yesterday, Administrator Wilson, about our court costs going down, I think we start seeing, and it becomes a pinch for us a little bit, but when we start seeing law enforcement take some of these pretrial diversion actions, and when we start seeing reduction in our drug courts and things like that, then we see it. We may not see it immediately in our face, but it is there. And so I'm open to putting metrics in place for us to quantify it even greater. But the pilot for us, I believe, is for us to get past these summer months without the bloodshed, without the frustration, and hopefully we can find a way to invest more and encourage the private sector. Because we're having the conversation with our clergy. They met for a couple of hours last Friday, just clergy. And it was very good to me to hear a lot of those pastors say, we're already doing prayer walks in our community. We're already knocking on doors in our community. We're already opening our facilities up to our community. So, did I answer your question?
No. Administrator Wilson, we had a lady, Miss Edwards, that was doing metrics at the juvenile detention facility. Is she still employed, and does she still do something like that?
Mr. Steve Snow's still doing that.
And Mr. Snow does? Will you assign them, along with juvenile reform, to get with all of these and with Honoré Wesley, who's over parks, to make sure that they can implement some kind of quality control to know that did we burn $100,000? Did we save a life with $100,000? If you could have done just as good a job with $75,000, or you really needed $125,000 to be successful in this venture, will you do that for us? Thank you. That's the end of me for now. Commissioner Atkins. Excuse me, hold on. Commissioner Bowman hasn't spoke on this go-around.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just wanted to add to that. I'm all about assessment, especially when I've worked in leadership, student leadership and student engagement, and dealing with things in the community as such. And I think what we should just include, which would help us assess this better, is the fact that we have surveys. That's one way in a quick assessment. Not only will you get an honest thing, not only from the participants, but if we have surveys, that's something we can look back and use as a metric system and say, okay, well, we've assessed this worked, this doesn't work, they enjoyed this, they do not, you know, and we can build upon it. Because it is a pilot, nothing's going to be perfect, but considering what's going on, and to be honest with you, all y'all up here probably represent areas where there's gunshot, but I'm probably one of the only ones who really hear the gunshots at night. And so what's going on right now is something that is unheard of, and if we are not proactive to jump on it, to try something, then we are just leaving it out in the wind. But I think, again, when we do the surveys and everything else, that'll be able to assess us better, because maybe 100,000 isn't enough, or maybe it's too much. But at least I guess if we start with something, we'll know how to measure afterwards.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Atkins.
Just want to say, if we do move forward with this program, I ask the staff to do their very best to ensure that if we do have additional summer youth employed, that we try our best to find useful, enriching educational activities for these young people to do, so that they have a positive experience working at Caddo Parish, or if we lay them out to other organizations or work with other organizations that they also ensure that they have positive experiences. I fear that if we just bring them in and don't have positive things for them to do, that won't leave the right impression either. So please do what we can.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Johnson.
Let's see where I want to start. A lot of this stuff is flexible. She said 12 positions, but if you as a commissioner don't want to submit another student, then don't submit one. That makes it 11. And if somebody else, that makes it 10. So you're not just compelled to say that you want to put another student to work. But what we want to do is try to give everybody the opportunity to try to do something. The activities we're talking about, the summertime activities, are not done during the daytime, like you got the summer camps and all kind of other camps during the daytime. We're trying to focus these camps in the evening time, so that when kids get out of the day camps and the summer camps that they have, what do? They go home, they get into trouble. So what we're trying to do now is take that time in which they would get into trouble and put them back into some type of activity that would keep them in a safe zone. And you asked about metrics. We are creating safe zones. So if something does happen over here, you don't have these innocent bystanders in place. I have 2 former Fair Park High School graduates that was innocent bystanders on incidents. They was at the wrong place at the wrong time. So if we create safe zones for these kids during the summertime, that kind of alleviates them, and that's one of your matrix that you asked about. With the gun buyback program, we're looking at a sliding rule kind of buyback. So you come in, for one, if you come in with a gun that doesn't work, we're gonna turn you around and say go back. I mean, that shouldn't pay for nothing like that. And I do know that some programs have done that. Secondly, if you come in with a certain type of gun, there's one fee, and as you go up to some of these guns that are more dangerous on the street, you get more money for them. And we want to have that done through an organization, law enforcement. But at the end of the day, these guns are destroyed. They are not put into a box and then put back into the street somewhere else, into another community. We want these guns destroyed. So you take those guns off the street, you save lives. We've been to a lot of rallies and marches and just talking to people in the neighborhood. And they're looking for the elected officials to come up with something. And I think this program here is something that we can say that we came up with that will be worked across the parish and benefit some lives. Some lives will be saved this year because of this program. Now, we can't say how many, but I can guarantee you that some lives will be saved because of this program. And then some lives will be changed because of this program. They'll see that somebody cares about them. There's another group that care about me. So now I can kind of change my life. Listen to a couple of the rallies. You had guys who been drug dealers, gang bangers. They changed them. They like, man, this is just gone too far. There's people just killing each other for no reason. And we got to reach those kids. But you can't reach them. But I can. Because they look up to me because their mom and dad are not there in their lives. But they can go and talk to them, and they'll do whatever they need them to do. But if you can reach them and change them, and for them to change some of the younger ones, you've saved another life, potentially. So this program, along with us being out in the community, it's going to save some lives. And I don't know how you can put that on paper, but it's going to definitely do it.
Thank you. I don't believe Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts has spoken yet on this. Next on the agenda. You have?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Chavez has
All for the question.
Second.
Questions called by Commissioner Chavez, second by Commissioner Dominic. That passes. Let's vote on the motion made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, to adopt this with all the changes included. That passes. Next item.
Now we need to, a motion and a second
Oh.
to adopt as amended.
So moved.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watt, second by Commissioner Jackson to adopt as amended.
Chavez, Mr. Bowman.
It won't let me.
The motion is
Must have run out of power before it got to that end.
In the rules, let me talk.
There you go, that passes. Next item, please.
Ordinance number 5588, authorize the parish administrator to execute a new cooperative endeavor agreement with Caddo Ward 2.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote.
Middleton.
Commissioner Middleton.
I voted, sorry.
That passes. Next item.
Next we move to zoning ordinance for introduction by title. Zoning case P516 in regards to ordinance number 5583 of 2016, amending and reenacting chapter 54 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances concerning site plan review. Next we move to ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5589, setting the general purpose millages and special purpose millages for rate adjustments as allowed by Article 7, Section 23 of the Louisiana Constitution 1974, and levying and imposing taxes and assessments for 2016 on all property subject to taxation. Ordinance number 5590, setting the parish millage for the purpose of paying principal and interest due in 2016 on outstanding parish bond issues, and instruct the assessor to include said millage on tax roll. Ordinance 5591, adopting the values fixed or to be fixed by the Louisiana Tax Commission on all assessments for railways and other public service corporations, and instruct the assessor to extend assessment values to tax roll of the parish of Caddo. Ordinance number 5592, setting the assessment of property classified as timberlands, to instruct the assessor to include said assessment on the tax roll of the parish of Caddo for the year 2016. Ordinance number 5593, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for juvenile services to appropriate $65,000 to hire a social worker for juvenile court. Ordinance number 5594, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $10,000 to change the appropriation for the Independence Day Festival. Ordinance number 5595, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize the parish administrator or designee to sell tax interest. Next, we need to approve the minutes from June 6th.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote. Please vote. That passes. Next item, please.
All right, next we move to resolutions. Resolution number 50, relocating polling place for precinct 43 and 47 from Ford Park Baptist Church to Western Hills Baptist Church.
So
Like
moved.
to
Commissioner Epperson, yes, sir.
like to englobe resolution number 50 of 2016, number 51, 2016.
Moved by Commissioner
approved.
Epperson, second by
approved.
Commissioner Dominic. Please vote. Commissioner Bowman. you're on the
I just
board.
had a point of information as far as the resolution. Would that resolution number 50, would that be considered a resolution or ordinance?
Resolution.
Thank you.
Is there a problem?
I just wanted to make sure when you made the motion to englobo and approve.
Yeah, that's right.
Global approve, adopt, carry forward.
That was moved by.
Get us out of here quick.
Commissioner Epperson and seconded by Commissioner Dominic. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
I just want to, I'm good with the englobing, but I just want to, anytime I do a resolution, I always like to put light on what we are doing the resolution for. And I just wanted to ask y'all to take one small moment and close your eyes and put your hands over your ears.
You don't even see no ear.
Both ears, both eyes?
For how long?
Thank you. sometimes patients suffering with Alzheimer's disease, that is just how they feel. The voices are muzzled and they cannot see you well. So if you know an Alzheimer's patient and they don't remember you remember them. Take some time out, go see them, give the caregiver a hand. They may just need to go to the bathroom. It's a very serious disease that is not really recognized besides having old timers. And I know because I lived it with my mother. So thank you for your support in the resolutions.
Thank you. Please vote. That passes.
We have no old business, move to new business. Confirm appointment of Caddo Parish Director of Animal Services.
Second.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Middleton, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Well,
Please
sir.
Is it gonna be unanimous?
Ain't no nobody wants to know.
Let's see.
You gotta jump
He's
in there if
sweating.
you want to talk.
I can see the sweat from here.
That passes. Next item, please.
No.
He meant yes.
Okay, he said unanimous.
Yes.
For real this time.
Let the record show 12-0. For the Caddo Parish.
So moved.
Second. What's this?
Wait a
We
minute.
only got one.
Okay, we have one,
We doing
only
it
one
again.
proposal.
Moved by Commissioner
We
Stormy
only
Gage
have one.
Watts, second by Commissioner Middleton. Please vote.
We only have one.
Commissioner Johnson, did you want to speak?
We'll vote no.
Vote. Good. Okay, we can vote. Please vote. That passes. Next item, please.
Just for the record, that they did, it was at the same rate as last year, so everybody will know that. Okay, next we move to approve the travel for Commissioner Epperson.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Johnson. Please vote.
No. No, just kidding.
How much is this gonna cost? How much is this gonna cost?
That passes. Meeting adjourned.
300.
Mr. Stormy.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Congratulations.
The official record shows it wasn't unanimous.
Marion, good job.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Matt.
We didn't have many offers.
No, you didn't.
I appreciate you. Oh, I know.
Congratulations.
It wasn't changing.
I'm looking for a survivor.